already completed basics of filters, context filters, and we have also gone through sets, bins, and groups. The next most important thing and the basic thing is the parameters which are available at the end. They are on the left side data pane, the last line, below the last line, you'll have parameters. Parameters are mostly useful when you are dealing with multiple data sources. And along with that, if you want to have a filter which has like many members from different dimensions, or you can straight away use measures as option like filters in Tableau if the requirement is such. So then the only option to go with is the parameter option. So let's start creating a parameter. So for this purpose, let me take subcategory here first. So if you don't, let me show this first. And if I want to create a parameter on subcategory, and I'm going to click on create and going to parameter. So the advantage of creating a parameter using a dimension or the measure value is that you need not select the data type, current values and all, you'll get by default. And let me change this to select a subcategory. Otherwise, we have to give the data type, current value and all. So in parameters, we have three options here. Allowable values can be all. If we are selecting all, whatever you give into the parameter, it will accept. We have a best use case of parameter when we are using all, using button options or parameter actions. This we'll discuss in the coming classes. So let me cancel this and again create a parameter. So the list is the list of options available in the parameter for the selection. And just right to that, we have type of selection. If we are selecting fixed, these are the only items which are going to remain in our parameter. But if you know that the member of the subcategories are going to be changed, or you may get any new members into the subcategory in future, or some of them may go out of the subcategory, then you need to select this option just below to the fix, which is when workbook opens. So here again, we are going to select subcategory. So this option is very much useful when there is a changing data, and if the members of the dimension are not fixed, then it's better to go with this option when workbooks open and click on OK. And this option is also mostly useful whenever we have a data which is updating. Let's say currently we are in the month of October and our date is 19. And in some of the projects, our projects will be updating at least 15 to 20 days in delay. So whenever we are building the report, if the requirement is to get last 3 months of data, then we'll be using this type of parameter and we'll be using this option. We'll also see that example too. So let us create this parameter first. So I have created a parameter, right? So after creating a parameter, you can show the parameter to make the selection. And let me create a visualization here. So we are taking subcategory onto the rows. And let's take sales here. Okay. So if I'm selecting something in the view, in the parameter, nothing is going to change in the view, because just creating a parameter won't make any changes in the visualization. We need a calculation, or we need to embed this parameter in a filter or in a set to make relevant changes in the parameter. So now let's create a Boolean calculation. So here we are going to say selected PRM sales. So I'm just going to write subcategory is equal to select subcategory parameter. So let me maximize this. So this is a simple Boolean calculation where I am saying if my members of subcategory is equal to select subcategory. So as this is a Boolean, we are not having if condition here. So I'm clicking on apply and bringing on this into the filters and clicking on true. So what happens? I'll get only that subcategory when I'm selecting here. So like this, we can make use of the parameters and get the relevant requirements. So this is one type of creation of parameter. Now let's look at the straight away direct creation of parameter, wherein if you're on the right side to the search bar, we have a small drop down. There we can create a new parameter. So this is how it looks when we create a new parameter without a reference to any dimension or measure. So now let's create a parameter top n parameter. And here I am going to say it's an integer and current value I'm making it to 10. Now let's take how it is going to display with the all, and let's check with that. And I'm clicking on token and showing this parameter. So for token, let's bring cities into the view and sales into columns. Let's go with descending as we are going with the token and bring the city into the filters. So here I am not creating a calculation. So for that purpose, we are going to select top function here, and by field, we are going to select parameters here. So this is going to be top n. And if I'm clicking on apply, obviously I am going to get the marks here. So I want one more thing to be highlighted here. Let me mark that. On the bottom left side of the screen, you have something called marks. Yeah, at the bottom where I'm using the green ticks. So here you have marks. So this is the place where you can see the marks. I'm clearing that. So let me, in the parameter, let me change this to 20. So I can enter all the whatever the value, and even I can enter 1000. But I can get only, as my marks have only 542 cities in the visualization, I can enter any value, even irrespective of the values in the city when I am going with the all option. So let me edit this parameter here. And if I am going with the list, obviously I need to get the list right. So for that purpose, I can select, as this is an integer, we don't have anything for reference. So we can physically enter the list like 10, 20, 30, 40, and 50, so on. We can select the list. Here, there is one more important thing whenever we are working with parameters. The actual value which is needed to be written in the calculation is the left side one, not as the right side one, because I can name this as 10 here, and here I can name this as 20. Even though here my data type is integer, I can name something else in the display as option. So whenever we are going with parameters, if you want to add something in the calculation, you have to take the left side value into the calculation, not the right side value. So this is how we can restrict our parameter. And so yeah, let me go with single value select here. So user can select anything between parameters. As we already discussed, parameters can be only single selection option is available, multiple selection option is not available in parameters. Most important use case of parameter, um, when my requirement is to change the measure value with respect to the parameter, we are going to create a parameter again. Sorry. Yeah. So here we are going to create a new parameter which is select measure. So again, I am going to use this as string first, and later I'll also show how to use integer and still get the output. So I'm removing this, and here in the list I'm going to say sales, profit, and quantity. Okay, I'm selecting three options here. I'm clicking on OK and clicking on show parameter. Okay, so here if I'm selecting sales, I have to get sales in the visualization, and if I'm selecting profit, I have to get profit, likewise with the quantity. So to make that changes, we have to write a calculation. So let's create a calculation which is select measure calculation. So generally, if we are having a lot of calculations in the visualization, or if you have huge amount of members of the dimension, like you have a lot of dimensions in the view along with measures, it is good to select the name of the parameter and then say as calculation. You can also write P underscore PRM, so that you can understand just by seeing it's a calculation which is making parameter work, so that whenever you are searching later, you can just type PRN and get the all the calculations relevant to parameters. Okay, so let's write the calculation. Oh, so we are using if condition. If I am saying if my select measure parameter is equal to sales. So the most important thing here you have to remember is the sales which we have written in while creating the parameter should exactly match with this value, even though it's case insensitive, but the alphabets have to be exactly matched along with the space also. So that is the most important thing when we are dealing with parameter calculations. Then I am going to say sales, and again else if my select measure is equal to profit, then I'm going to say profit measure, and else if. So here in the last condition, I can write else if, or I can straight away give the quantity, because anything other than these two, I can give as quantity, but generally I don't suggest like that, but you can do so. But here currently I'm using else if select measure is equal to quantity. I have written the name wrong only, just to make you understand what happens if you don't have the correct name in the view. So yeah. So sales is correct, profit is correct, and the name which I have entered is wrong. So let's check what happens, and let's bring this measure value onto sales here. Let's bring here and remove this, or we can overlay straight away on the measure. So if I'm selecting sales, I'm able to get the sales here. So in the parameter here also we can insert the parameter. So we can select parameter select measure here and clicking on apply so that I can know like which dimension or measure is in the view. So if I'm selecting profit, I'm able to get the profit parameter here. When I'm going with the quantity, I'm not getting anything. So if you are facing any issue when you are selecting something and you are not getting the expected results, the first thing which you need to check in the parameter is the spelling. It should exactly match. So I'm copying this here and again going into my calculation as I've saved it as PRM. So select measure calci and going to edit with this one. And now clicking on apply is going to give me my results. So like this, we can select measures, dimensions, or anything which we want in the view using the calculations which we have learned. These are also basic simple if else calculations here. So yeah, parameters are independent of data sources. So that's why Tableau has willingly kept this parameter at the complete end, because when you are dealing with filters, generally if you don't have a connection between two tables, let's say you have a super store table now, and I have one more table which is the world indicators. Let me connect that so that you'll understand. So yeah, let's connect world indicators. Okay. And now I don't have any common data between world indicators and region, this table. But I still want to have something in common, because when I am dealing with dashboards for one item, I cannot select two different things in the visualization. Let's take that example. So first we have created this one. So I think in region we have in sample superstore, and in the world indicators also I have region, but both are completely different. Let's see first. So when I'm going with superstore region, I have central, east, south, and west. And when I'm going with world indicators region, I have completely different things. They are not at all matching. But I still want to use region as an filter which can filter something in both the worksheets. Let's say I've used sample superstore and I'm using a map here. So yeah, what I've done is I've created a parameter here. So I'm going to select region. I'm going to make it string, remove this current value, and list I'm going to make, let's bring from this sample superstore region. Okay. And okay. So for this worksheet, we are going to use this part, and let me show that parameter here. And to make this parameter in this worksheet, I am going to select region is equal to region here. Okay. Underscore PRM for this calculation, and I'm going to apply this as true. Okay. So in the next sheet, we are going to take world underscore region, that is the secondary data set. I'm clicking on the secondary data set, and here I don't have map point here. So I'm just taking the values here, and I'm taking sales here. Okay, we don't have sales, so I'm taking internet usage. Okay, so let's bring both of them into the visualization, and here also I have option to use the select region, right? So I'm showing my parameter, and now I'm clicking on my parameter as edit, and here I'm going to write the rest of the fields which are available from the second one, Asia. So like this, you can write rest of the fields, but I'm taking only first three fields. And at last, I can use all. And let's see what happens. And let us bring both the visualizations into the view. So I'm not taking any containers here. So here I have to, yeah. So let's say this is the our entire dashboard, and we have both of them from two different places, like two different data sources where we do not have common data. So that's why, okay, let's drag this parameter here. So when I'm selecting Africa, I'm going to get Africa here. Okay, we did not write the calculation here, right? For the second worksheet, we did not write the calculation to make that work. So let's create the calculation. And here we are going to say select region is equal to region. And I'm going to apply this and make this true. So I'm making this true, apply. So yeah, so now I'm going to get both the data, and I'm using only single parameter. So if you sometimes in both the data sets, some of them will be matching. So at that time you will be able to get all the values or common values. So let's say if I want all the data, just you have to make only simple correction in your worksheet calculations. That is, let's do with parameter first, select region PRM. So here I am simply going to write for select region is equal to, inside single quotes, I'm just going to place all what I have written in the parameter. Here what I have written, all that is the same thing which I am going to do that. And let me copy this and apply the same thing in the next sheet also, world region parameter. So here also I'm going to say or equal to all. So I'm going to apply this, and when I'm moving on to my dashboard, if I'm clicking on all, I'm able to get all the data in the visualization. So this is how we can leverage parameters between different data sources, even though there is no common field between the tables. We already know that we cannot combine, have a common filter between two data sets or two tables which do not have a common column. Then the parameter is the savior for us to have a common field to interact in the dashboard. And let me know if you have any doubts on Tableau in the comment section below. Until next video, happy visualizing.